Now, last week, Bernie Sanders introduced a bill to expand Social Security benefits. Now, at a time, of course, where the discussion, thanks to the nomination of Mick Mulvaney for the Office of Management and Budget, who is, of course, really wants to cut Social Security, here's Bernie Sanders saying, no, we're not going to let that conversation go back to that. No, we're going to essentially give you the middle finger and then say, cut this, bitch. Just try. Just try. On Thursday, Bernie Sanders and Representative Peter DeFazio introduced a bill to expand Social Security benefits by lifting the cap on earnings subject to payroll taxes. Now they presented their proposal on the very day, of course, where Americans with wages over $1 million or more stop paying into Social Security for the year. Now, wait a minute here. No, look, we all, anybody who gets a paycheck pays into Social Security taxes. Everybody. So, I mean, and they get the money through the payroll tax. So why do the millionaires get to stop paying for a year when it's already only February? Well, that seems a little weird, right? Well, it goes back to how it was set up. Workers now contribute to Social Security based on the first $127,200 that they earn every year. Now, those millionaires, by this month, by February, they've already paid that in taxes, and now they're essentially off the hook for the rest of the year. Now, the changes made in the Bernie Sanders legislation would apply the 6.2% payroll tax to ordinary earnings of $250,000 or more, as well as to unearned incomes like capital gains and dividends, which currently are not taxed above that threshold. Now, that, of course, I think would bring in a lot of extra money into the Social Security fund, which, by the way, Social Security not going broke doesn't add a damn penny to the deficit. Just saying. Now, there's more to this bill. Rather than increase the benefits for those high-earning workers based on their additional contributions, the bill would use revenue to extend Social Security solvency until 2078 and to boost benefits across the board with a disproportionate impact on low earners. So if you are poor, you would actually see the biggest increase from this proposal. And if you're rich, well, look, if you're rich, then you're still going to be rich, and you still probably already have a really good retirement plan already. So you're wealthy, you're going to be fine, you're going to be okay. Now, this basically is expanding benefits for the poor and the middle class while asking the rich to pay just a little bit more. Because again, even if they pay a little bit more, they're still going to be rich. Nobody wants to rob them of all their wealth. It's just enough to make sure that the 99% has enough money to comfortably retire on. Now, Sanders said at a press conference, we can expand benefits, we can extend the life of Social Security if we have the guts to tell the millionaires and billionaires that, yes, they're going to have to pay a little bit more in taxes. Sanders was joined by DeFazio, Ron Wyden, Elizabeth Warren, Jan Schakowsky, and Paul Tonko, and representatives of progressive organizations like Social Security Works, the National Committee to Preserve Social Security and Medicare, and the Alliance for Retired Americans. Now, this is a great bill. It has zero chance of passing, but it's great.
Yeah. I mean, that's just a big if that Bernie Sanders pointed out there. That's a big if. Like, if we can, hold the millionaires and billionaires accountable, if we can have the backbone to ask them to pay a little more. I mean, I don't know about you, Jeff. I mean, we're around the same age. I operate under the assumption I will not see a dime from Social Security. I think that they're always trying to go after it. I look at the direction of this country. Man, do I hope I'm wrong on this one. And I'm going to do everything in my power to prove myself wrong. I'm going to try to get progressives elected. I'm going to try to, do what I can to try to make this a better country, at least in my personal politics or whatever. But I don't know. I mean, it's a strong opposition, and it's the enemy of the powerful and the elite. Social Security is, and I kind of operate under the guise they're going to get it before we would see
Ron,
it.
They've been after it since it was put into place.
I know.
Have been after it.
I know. I'm not saying like
George
this is
W.
totally
Bush.
100% like
Right, but I'm going to point out George W. Bush also tried to privatize it during his reign. and it
Mm-hmm.
didn't work out so well.
Oh, I
He
know.
lost all of his
I'm
political
well
capital.
aware.
And look, still, you have this is one of the most popular programs in the Americans have. Hands like you got Republicans out there, ironically with signs get your hands off my government or get your government hands off my Social Security
I
and
know.
Medicare. So
I know.
it's an issue that a lot of people care about. And again, going back to the Republicans here, yeah, they keep pointing out like their little plan to try to get rid of it is to say, well, it's not going to cover everybody. It's not going to be there for you. So why don't you just let us privatize it already? And so your way of thinking, oh, it's not going to be here for me, in a weird way, it enables them to get rid of it. It is a self-fulfilling prophecy, Ron.
I mean, okay. I don't know about that. I mean, I think it's more like kind of being practical and looking out for myself. I mean, again, I hope I'm wrong. But I mean, yeah, they haven't successfully gotten it yet. But I mean, education's an issue a lot of people care about. We have Betsy DeVos now. I mean, it's one of those things like give it time. I mean, George Carlin said it. He's like, now they're coming after your Social
Yes, he
Security
did say
dollars,
that.
and they're gonna get it. They're gonna get all of it. I'm not saying he's a prophet, but I'm saying it's a legitimate concern, and I certainly don't begrudge any millennials that are going to do everything in their power to make sure it doesn't become a reality, but in the back of their mind think, I'm not counting on this because there's a good chance it's going to be long gone. They're going to take it before I see any of it. Because we never ask, where's the money coming from for the next war? We never ask that question.
Maybe it's
So
time we all start asking that question. I mean, the reason that one of the reasons I think they've been able to get, away with a lot of this bullshit is because people weren't paying attention. Remember, Barack Obama tried putting Social Security on the table. The left was essentially asleep during that point. But when they tried to do the same thing under George W. Bush, huge outcry. And there's going to be one now. And that's what this whole legislation is about. It's not about trying to pass the bill. This is a shot across the bow from progressives, from Bernie Sanders, and others who signed on to this bill to say, Republicans, if you try to destroy Social Security, we're coming for you. We're here. We're coming after you. Okay. Like
the Democrats have been as of recent.
in some cases. It's mainly the progressives here.
I wish I shared your optimism.
But no, well, look, this is good politics, and let me explain why. Okay.
I agree with that. I don't disagree with that.
Well, I mean, basically they want to put the Republicans in a position to explain to everyone, Republicans, independents, Democrats, progressives, whatever group, why you just killed an incredibly popular piece of legislation. He's saying, go ahead and cut it. I dare you. See what happens. You will legislate yourself into irrelevance for the next 30 years. You get rid of this program. I mean, it's incredibly popular, right? For example, they a couple of years ago there was a poll. It was asked where would you be okay with the wealthy paying a little bit more to preserve Social Security, right? 80% said yes. This breaks down across partisan lines. Republicans, independents, Democrats. They're like, yes, we would like the wealthy to pay a little bit more to protect Social Security. We like this program. Don't touch it.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's incredibly popular.
And Congress always proposes legislation that people actually want.
But not when the people, yes, they do. They do pass a lot of things or propose a lot of things that are absolutely terrible that the people don't want. I understand that. But when there's enough people out there that are fighting against this, that gets these people on notice. Look, I've done a bunch of stories of the past couple of weeks where Republicans and Democrats are running away from their town halls because they can't face their pissed off constituents. Right. Imagine the outcry after if they try to eliminate Social Security. And that's why they come up with all these different bullshit reasons. Oh, we can't afford it, or it's running out of money. Again, doesn't add a penny to the deficit or the debt,
Hmm.
and it's
But yet, a
solvent
lot of
until
people
the
don't know
2030s.
that, Jeff, because the
But that's why.
propaganda
But
against
that's a
Social
failure on the
Security has
media.
been successful.
But again, that's a failure on the media as well, and that's
I
why
agree.
a lot of people are turning away from these corporate media entities. Now,
Hmm.
look, here are the facts. The Social Security Fund has enough money to fully fund everyone until around the 2030s, and then afterwards provide about 70% of all benefits going forward, and that is if nothing changes. And Republicans love to harp on that point too, right? Nothing is the key word. If we actually do raise the cap and start creating high-paying jobs, because again, Social Security is funded by the payroll tax, and that's what George W. Bush, I think, lowered the payroll tax, and Barack Obama tried to lower the payroll tax, which is of course starving Social Security of funding. Even so, they still have billions, trillions of dollars saved up in the Social Security fund, enough to make it solvent well into the 2030s, and that's if we do nothing. That's assuming everything stays the same. People don't get more jobs or higher paying jobs. This is what they like to do. They like to remove all context and all nuance in order to hammer their talking point to try to
I fully
get
agree.
people to get rid of their expectation of having a Social Security payment one day, and that is bullshit. We have to fight against that.
I fully agree with you. I don't disagree with any of that.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, like, and I also agree with your assessment of everything that they're doing in this case, Bernie Sanders. Like, I agree with that 100% and 10%. I don't disagree with that. It is good politics. It is very strategic. It is very smart. What I'm saying is, you know, keep in mind, we still got a while before you and I would be collecting this.
sure.
And given the direction of this country, don't assume it's safe. And
No, no,
yes, I mean,
no.
it's a bunch of propaganda and lies against Social Security. I completely know that. But don't assume they're not going to be able to figure out a way to get it from us.
Well, here's the thing, though, right? I nowhere did I say that we should assume that it's safe. We should assume that it is not safe, that they are always going to try to come
Right.
for it. That meant part of the message. I do absolutely agree with you. You know why? Because this gets people, if you remind people, hey, the Republicans are still trying to cut your Social Security, they're going to not stop trying to cut your Social Security because they hate the idea of poor people retiring with, I don't know, enough money to survive. They hate that idea. They'd rather have your parents go or your grandparents eat cat food, and not the good
Hmm.
kind. Not
Or
not
they
the
are honestly, they'd rather you just die. I
or
mean,
or
quite
just die.
frankly.
And so that is something that we do need to remind them to go and fight. But there is also facts, it's going to be difficult for them to do it unless they can sell a lie to you. And that's the whole
Which
point that
they
I'm trying to make.
can. We live in a
They're going to
post-fact
try.
world.
Again, they're going to keep trying to do that. So what we need to do is keep fighting back. And again, this is exactly what Bernie Sanders is doing. And this is why I'm happy to see Bernie Sanders throw down a gauntlet. You want to cut Social Security? You're not going to. We're not going to let you cut Social Security if we can do anything about it. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce a bill to expand it, and then again watch you explain why you voted to kill something that's very, very popular. Try it. Just try it. This is why I love strong progressives.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, could you imagine what we could do if we had more than one Bernie Sanders? Not just one, but an army of them in Congress.
Well, and hopefully we're grooming those next ones. Hopefully
Exactly.
organizations like Justice Democrats,
Justice Democrats.
organization like where Bernie Sanders being in the position he's in, hopefully that's what's coming next. But I'll do one more kind of, and I don't know, because I know like we're really speculating here, and I don't mean to sound like a doom and gloom like cynic here, because I'm really not. But um, keep in mind, a Republican wasn't able to get NAFTA through. It took a Democrat.
Right.
We have a lot of those corporate Democrats that are wolves in sheep's clothing. So, if the day ever came where Social Security became a thing of the past, it wouldn't be a Republican that would be able to grab it. It would be a Democrat that would be able to grab it. It would take a Democrat to gut Social Security. It would take a
Right.
Democrat to gut net neutrality. So that's
Well,
something we need to be aware of.
to be
And we
fair,
need to know who's really on our team.
you make great points, but on the net neutrality, it looks like we're probably already going to get it gut. I mean, I've been covering that as well. So, the
So have I.
FCC
You
commissioner.
really think that people aren't gonna? I mean, when Obama was in office, they crashed the FCC website, Jeff, and that was when Obama was in office.
Yeah,
You think that with Trump around, people aren't gonna flip out if they
maybe.
really do truly go after it?
I hope so. I hope they do.
They will. They will big time. I mean, I think that goes without saying. They will big time. People are already up in arms just over his pick,
Yeah,
just over his telecom pick,
right.
which is a disturbingly horrible pick. I mean,
This
people
guy,
are up
this
in
guy
arms
was
for
a
the right
former
reasons.
Verizon lawyer. This guy
Uh-huh.
worked for the telecom companies. Of course,
So
it's
did
a
to a
disturbing
lesser
pick.
degree, so did Tom Wheeler, and
Sure.
nobody was beating the drums for him. People were beating the drums already because of the pick. I don't, and now we're switching roles, and I'm the optimistic one here, Jeff. But I don't think if net neutrality goes away, I don't think there will be a Republican sitting in the White House.
Well, hey man, that is a fair point. That's why we need to clean house. Justice Democrats
Agree.
or whatever.
Agree.
Like if you want to go with Justice Democrats, that's fantastic. You want to go somewhere else and try to work on getting progressive candidates from the like Green Party, have at it. Great. All avenues are accepted. Let's get some change. Let's get some new faces in there. Let's get some progressives in office. I don't care how we do it. I just want to win because I want to win on policy and actually start helping the American people. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.